Okay, that is good enough. We have played this so much. Hey, beautiful creatures, I'm Amithia, your curator of deliciously dark pages, and I am here with my January wrap up now. Now, this month has been full of stops and starts, and the books I have finished all the way through put me straight into a book slump. Okay, so I'm just going to get straight into it because there's just so much chaos. Okay, so we started January finishing off the Mindfuck series by St. Abbey. This is a appropriately hyped dark romance series following Lana Myers, the goddess, the icon that she is, who is a female serial killer, unaliving a bunch of men on a revenge list who have done more than wrong her, okay? And throughout the book, we kind of are brought along for this really elaborate revenge plan. And we've no idea if she's going to succeed. We've no idea if she's going to get caught. We've no idea just how detailed and elaborate this plan is. And it's so impressive. And all the while, she is ticking through her list. She is dating the FBI agent assigned to her case. Yeah, and this woman is smart. She is skilled. She has spent years dedicating herself to this plight. And so she's incredibly accomplished and athletic and smart and beautiful and just an icon, a role model. I love Lana Meyer so much. And if you're a fan of like criminal minds or psychology or behavioral psychology, you're gonna love this. The writing style is also really easy to read. So even as things get elaborate as heck, and by the end of the series, we're like, how did we get here from like this simple premise? The writing style is simple enough that like you can catch up and kind of put the pieces together or just, go back because we have all the books, you know what I mean? And just have a good time the whole way through. And I wasn't entirely sure how the romance would work out, if the romance would work out. And I was a little bit like, how are we going to have any kind of simple ending to this? And yet the ending is so worth it. And I'm so relieved. And I'm so happy that like Lana Myers got the ending she did. So like if you want to come along for the ride, this series is beautiful. It's like emotional. Obviously it's traumatic. Always check your triggers with just everything I suggest, but especially the dark romances. But it's so clever and it's so funny and it's so easy to read. It's so bingeable, and I'm so excited to reread this at some point, specifically when I'm in that kind of fuck the patriarchy mood a little bit extra on some days. This series is absolutely fantastic for that. So the Mindfuck series by St. Abbey, I have the bind up, and through this I learned I really enjoy floppy books. So I fully recommend this on like all levels, sensory levels, reading levels, narrative levels, writing style levels. Just enjoy the Mindfuck series and then like gush about it with me. Join me in the revelry, Okay, so next I read Blood Moon by Brittany S. Lewis. Firstly, it's beautiful. It's stunning, beautiful, gorgeous with our sprayed edges. And this was just the hardback edition available, I think, online or from her website. And it's her debut novel. And if the thing that sold me on this book, right, I'll get to what it's about in a second, but the thing that sold me was if you're a fan of the Vampire Diaries and you wish Bonnie Bennett got a better ending, got a better story, this is the series for you. Okay, we have what is her name? What is her name? Mirabella. How beautiful. How beautiful. Okay, so this story follows Mirabella, who has been summoned to university for some reason in her local town, which has a history and a folklore of werewolves. Okay, so we there's an element of supernatural going in, and yet still we have no idea what's going on in this book until like 2/3 of the way going through. And our girl, she has some trauma. She has some denial issues. She has a mum who skipped out on her when she was young, and a dad who loves her but is slowly losing the plot because he's committed to finding her mum, right? And so we have this woman who's like experiencing mental health issues, who's going to university hoping for a fresh start, but also being embroiled further and further into the werewolf folklore. And that's not even the full scope of the story. And honestly, I'm not entirely sure what's happening because I got 2/3 of the way through. And personally, I got frustrated by the heroine growing up in a town that speaks about werewolves regularly, but being so resistant to the clues that there might be something actually supernatural going on in her town. Okay, and I mentioned, I think, some of her denial is due to her mental health and her experiences and the way that her accepting this would change the narrative that she grew up with, right? So I understand the resistance and I do intend to keep reading it, right? The other reason I'm like determined to follow this entire series is because this series gives Twilight vibes. it gives Twilight vibes. We have sheriffs, we have like deans and university people who all know each other. We have a town set in like the kind of Forks vibe with like national parks and like lots of trees everywhere and like running in the woods and stuff like that. And so the vibes are immaculate. And the writing style, you can kind of tell, I think, that it's a debut novel in that the writing style is a touch inconsistent in the sense, right? Bear with me, in the sense that some of the writing style is very eloquent and beautiful and poetic, and then some of it will be quite simple and they're not exactly congruent. Like the poetic nature will kind of come out of nowhere and then fade again. So I'm really excited for the writer to find her voice even more as the books develop. And I learned recently, so I never really understood the whole getting hyped about a series while it was being released. I've always been someone who reads series, if I read series, when they're all released. And then somebody shared with me, hey Amithia, if you don't support a series while it's being released, it might not ever get finished because authors need to pay rent while they're releasing work, you know? And it just like never occurred to me. I always assumed that book deals were like 4 complete series at the start, and that is not the case. So I'm really, really excited to support this author. She's also a PSE author who obviously need more exposure and more support in the editing world so that they get picked up and maintained and not, that's not the word, maintained, so they get picked up and kept on the roster of the publishing industry. So if you want to support a POC author, pick her up. Like if you want also the Twilight vibes, guys, the Twilight vibes. I'm so excited to like get all my friends involved in this because Twilight for me was just a childhood thing. It's a nostalgia thing. It's the closest I get to nostalgia. And like the way that, you know how the Twilight movies were shot in blue light? The way that this book gives blue light energy, I can't really explain more than that, but I'm here for it and I'm so excited. So pick it up, diversify your author list and enjoy. Honestly, I've really enjoyed reading new authors this month. I didn't intend this year to make it an intention to like, I didn't intend to make it an intention, wow, Mithia, to pick up new authors or discover new authors, but it's happened. So let me just bring you along for the ride. Okay, next I picked up, what did I pick up? Oh my goddess, Lesser Wolves by KV Rose arrived. So this is firstly by KV Rose, enough said, I'm reading it. Okay, KV Rose exclusively writes dark romance though, so just know that going in. But this follows Storm, Lydia, and Sloane, who are characters in the Did They Break You world. And that's really all I know. That's really all I know. I know that Storm is a dealer. I know that Lydia is maybe a stepchild. I know that there's like possibly murder and mystery. But let me just read you the blurb because I don't know how to explain this. And I've literally read like 2 chapters and this is going to be such a treat for me when the second book is released. But I just refuse to do that to myself, to read, to only have one bit of a KV Rose story because she gives cliffhangers. She's an author who you never know what she'll give you in terms of how safe the characters are, in terms of the plot, in terms of how deranged it is. And there is like a theme in a lot of her stories where you don't know if the main characters are safe or not. So I was like, I don't want to read this, be left on a cliffhanger, be in this world of anguish when I tend to get really attached to KV Rose characters. So I'm just going to read you the blurb and you decide if you want to jump in this world. Okay, so we've got Storm, Lydia, Sloane, a dealer with no future, a crime boss with no conscience, a lost girl with no fear. Sloane is sunshine, Storm his namesake, and after a night of bruised mistakes, Lydia wants them both to hurt. In the darkness of October surrounding North Carolina's mountains, all 3 walk among wolves, with secrets too dangerous to whisper. Who dissolves first, and who wins but the last to fall in love? Dun dun dun! So I'm so excited to pick this up. I'm ecstatic. I can't wait. It's got all my favorite things. It's got trees, it's got toxicity, it's got storms. Literally. Like, what else do you need? I know I'm gonna love this. I know it's already in my library, even though I haven't read it yet. Do you know what I mean? So, thank you, KV Rose, for existing. Yeah. Anyway, so if you want to support KV Rose so that she keeps writing masterpieces, pick up Lesser Wolves. The duet will be completed on February 13th is when the release date has been published. And I'm so excited also. Of course, it's February 13th. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Okay. I also attempted to read, so I was really jumping through genres because the Mindfuck series put me in a reading slump. Like so hard. I was like, what do I do? I need more Lana Myers, you know? So I picked up The Whispering Dark. Oh, the glare. There we go. The Whispering Dark by Kelly Andrew. Now, all I knew about this book going in was that we have dark academia, we have parallel universes, we have necromancy, kind of. We have the dark as a sentient creature that's stalking someone. We have a university filled with students who are trying to connect to magic in another world, but set in that like dark academia setting of like there's a word for it, isn't there? Somebody tell me in the comments, please. When it's set in like the real world but has like magical elements. So this has all the elements I adore. Okay, and the main character, I believe, also is very sheltered or is differently abled, and so we love that representation. We love how that shows up. You know what I mean? So I'm so excited to continue this. I started reading it, and I think I got a couple of chapters in. Firstly, can we just the sprayed edges? The sprayed edges. Ah, this is a reversible dust jacket, by the way. So my friend got a special edition of this, and she knows that I love all these things, so she was kind enough to gift it to me. And we basically co-own each other's libraries. And she kindly said that I can keep this one. So this is the reversible dust jacket, and I love it. What I'm trying to tell you though is I'm trying to find the blurb to read it to you, because I think I can do a better job of reading it to you. So are we ready? Delaney always talked to the dark. Same girl. But now the dark talks back. Delaney Mayers Petrov is tired of being seen as fragile just because she's deaf. I knew there was something. So when she's accepted into a prestigious program at Godboll University that trains students to slip between parallel worlds, she's excited for the chance to prove herself. But her semester gets off to a rocky start when she has an awkward encounter with a pretentious upperclassman whom she has every intention of keeping her distance from. Colton Price has been ordered to keep far away from the new girl and the voices that call to her from the shadows, but the pull of her proves impossible to ignore, and he can't help but be fascinated by her unusual talents. After a fellow student turns up dead, Delaney and Colton are forced to form a tenuous alliance, plummeting down a rabbit hole of deeply buried university secrets. They soon find themselves up against something old and nameless, an enemy that threatens to tear them and their forbidden partnership apart. Dun, dun, dun. Firstly, the whole they find themselves up against something old and nameless is so Buffy coded. If you know, you know, season 7, guys. But like, you can see why I'm so excited to pick this up. I'm so excited to get back to this. I'm gonna fucking love it when it's time. But I just started reading it when I was in such a bad book slump that I just wasn't ready to get into another world. So as soon as I'm ready to be back in a dark academia vibe, fabulous. Right now, though, I'm really enjoying dipping into different genres. I went from The Whispering Dark to Bitten by Destiny by S. Young, which is an urban fantasy, I think that's what I'm trying to say, set in a world where the Fae, there are a few like Fae halflings kind of things lost amongst the human world, and they're being slowly hunted down by the other supernaturals who believe that those Fae will usher in Armageddon, essentially, or that's the story we've been told. And each book in this series follows a different person trying to escape, trying to build a world for themselves. And they all kind of have a very different personality, a very different way of being, and somebody who's connected to this plot who is trying to either help them or hunt them, who knows. But in Bitten by Destiny, we have a rock star and a vampire assassin, basically. And like, she's sent after him to bring him down, but his magnetism is too much. And so I think the blurb tells us she ends up turning on the vampire population because she was like trained by the essentially leader of the vampires to track this person down. I think his name's Elliot or Eli or something, and hunt him to bring safety to the vampires or something. But she begins to suspect something's not quite right, that maybe this is some kind of power grab or that she's not told the whole story. And she also, there's a fated mates thing, and they're fated mates, and that's all basically told to you in the blurb because that's all I know, and I haven't continued reading it. So, and again, I really love S. Young's writing, so I'm not really a fantasy girly. As you can tell, I love a paranormal element, but I'm really not a high fantasy or fantasy girly. And yet S. Young somehow bridges that gap for me because it is quite fantasy heavy, and it is really like world building in terms of politics and really involved in terms of like this overarching plot that's really big and really impactful, you know, end of the world stuff. But I just somehow really enjoy it. Like, maybe her writing style, maybe the way that her characters are so distinctive, that's really something I enjoy. And this one's a rock star, like me. So I just couldn't resist. So I know that when I keep reading this, I'm going to enjoy it, but I did DNF it just because I was in such a book slump and I didn't want to like half-ass read something that I know I'm going to really enjoy, right? So I did put that down. Then, because I was in such a book slump, I picked up Love and Lies by Lola King. Yes, that novella with Christian and Ella that I have not stopped talking about. So I'll quickly recap because it is in just so many of my videos now. But Love and Lies is a little novella that's a prequel novella to the Silver Falls University series. We have Christian and we have Ella. Ella has been given some shitty news and she is just looking for something to make it a little better to get through the holidays. And so she answers a drunken call from Chris, her ex, who has wronged her in so many ways and kept her as his dirty little secret because he valued his friendship with her brother way more. And they have a night together and the manipulation is just unveiled and yet so involved, and it's toxic and messy, but they have a daddy baby girl dynamic, which is just beautiful and accurate and done so right, in that Ella just wants praise. Christian just wants to take care of her so thoroughly, like a compulsion. And it's just beautiful. So we kind of get a taste of what their connection is like in the way that she's so self-aware and he's so like obsessed. And they just can't help but find their way back to each other, you know? So I enjoyed that novella for like the 6th frickin' time since I last spoke to you about it, and definitely like the fucking 10th since I first picked it up. But it's my way of resisting the urge to reread their book, Loving the Liar, again, when I've literally read it at least once a month since I first read that book. It's wild, okay? So yes, I went there again, and now I'm gonna move on because you all have heard so much about that. Okay, next I read Alchemy of Secrets by Stephanie Garber. Again, this is a hardback. I would kind of count it as a special edition because we've got this gorgeous foiled dust jacket. We've got sprayed edges, which are like gradient blue and stars. The in papers, it's just so beautiful. So I'm showing you. The in papers are some kind of alchemic symbols. And then the front cover itself, you'll learn the significance of that in there. But again, we've got this gorgeous foiled design. Now, I usually don't enjoy foiled designs. I find them far too simple. But this one is gorgeous. And I really forgot how much I adore like the kind of Art Nouveau kind of style of it. But I really do. So with that, let me tell you what it's about as soon as I find the character names. Now, I'm aware Stephanie Garber did the Caraval series and something else. She's a pretty well-known popular author at this point, but she's new to me. This is my first book by her, and let me tell you, I really enjoyed it. But let me see what this is about. So, this book follows Holland St. James, who is a kind of an anthropology stories kind of student who has been taught to do treasure hunts her entire life. And she has been pulled into this world even more by a mysterious professor at her university who runs this secret course of like local folklore that kind of suggests different folklores that actually exist in Hollywood. And we're kind of thrust into the situation where Holland is thrust into a situation where her life is at risk. She is going to die by the next day. And everyone around her is lying to her. And she has to somehow make it through and figure out what the hell is going on whilst chasing the story, whilst chasing the treasure hunt and learning about the different kind of folklores of Hollywood along the way. So we've got like the occult, we've got dark academia, we've got like alchemy, we've got like secret societies, we've got like mythical magical abilities, we've got that search for magic that's so whimsical. And aren't we all just doing that our entire life, searching for magic and hoping for proof that it's real? Like, obviously, as you probably know by now, I'm a practicing witch. I know magic is real. But I really love that this book captured so well that desire I think we all have as humans to search for magic, to search for proof. Right? It's the delight is just so abundant. And so this book was beyond worth it. And the writing style is gorgeous. A, linguistically, so varied. Okay. B, the plot is so involved. There's so many moving pieces, so much going on. And you're reminded every chapter, there's kind of some form of mini cliffhanger, which is gorgeous. But you're also reminded that whoever you're around, you can't trust them. They're lying to you to some degree. So you actually don't know what's actually happening in this story until like the last kind of 5 chapters. And even then you're like, how much of that was true though? It's really interesting. And then the ending is like somewhat open-ended. You're like, what's happening next? So I hope this continues into a little series. I have no idea if there's any kind of plan for that to happen. So if you know, please pop it below because I would love to jump back into this world. But also I think as a standalone, this is going to be so rereadable because the writing style is so distinctive. Every single character in this has a really, really strong voice, has really consistent motivations, has really distinctive body language and choices and a voice. The writing style also reflects the voice of the people or the perspectives you're getting in each character. And I love when that's done. It's so clever. It's done so well. I cannot recommend this highly enough. I've spoken about it to all my friends. I don't know if I don't know if I'm selfless enough to loan out this copy. I might have to buy another copy to loan out to friends because this is just beautiful and I want it to stay beautiful and pristine, okay? But I enjoyed this so much, it put me in a book slump. Yeah, you know how I warned you every book I completed put me in a book slump? Put me in a book slump so hard. It put me in a book slump so hard, I could not pick up a book for days, for almost a week. I was like trying to pick up things on Kindle. I was like, okay, is it time to jump into the Lolaverse? Even more, is it time to go back to things? What's happening? What do I want next? Do I want dark romance? What do I want? Okay. And I honestly went for another standalone. I went for another standalone because I'm really enjoying kind of genre jumping this month. Again, I usually read exclusively dark romance, but so I've really, really enjoyed genre jumping. I'm having a great time. So next, I jumped into horror, which one of my friends is extremely excited about because she has annotated one of her favorite horrors for me, The Hollow Places or something. And I'm really excited to read it with her because that's just so beautiful to get to read books with my friends when they're not in front of me and kind of, it's almost like they're gushing to me about the book while I'm reading it. And I love that. It makes reading new genres or new authors so much more accessible because I've got my friend right there in book form cheering me on or getting excited about things or gushing over things, right? Beautiful. Or like being like foreshadowing, dot, 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 and like the intrigue. I'm here for the intrigue, you know? Anyway, right, I'm rambling. Let's get on to the next book, which is What Feeds the Lake by J.C. Hemstreet. This is a horror, like I mentioned. I have not read horror before in a very, very long time. I think maybe like 3 years ago, I tried to read Pet Sematary. I didn't like the writing style. I loved the concept and the story, and I got like 2/3 of the way through, and it made me cry. It had an impact on me, but I didn't like the writing style enough to continue. So I was like, maybe horror's not for me. Plus, at that time, I just didn't have the bandwidth for things that made me cry or things that made me scared or whatever. The world can be a scary place, you know what I mean? So I've been really hesitant to pick up horror, but I'm so glad I picked this book up. Okay, let me tell you why. You're going to notice a theme with the whole Dark Academia thing. Okay, so this book follows some students who are hand selected, 4 students who are hand selected by a professor to go to his remote cabin in the woods. They're all art students and they're being drawn into this cabin to work through their fears that happen to come to life because the lake needs feeding. Okay, and they have to kind of survive the 4 days and also unravel the mystery of what the hell this art program is, what the hell is feeding off of their fears in the lake, and coming to grips with who they are as people and what their fears actually are. Because the way that you're fed information in this book means that you're not sure of what these people's stories are. You just assume they're all heavily traumatized because they've been selected for being scared, right? And you don't quite know what's going on. You don't quite know who to trust. You don't even know if they're reliable narrators because there's light drug use in this. There's kind of hallucination-esque things in the sense that the supernatural element can create illusions and change shape. So again, the whole time you're like, did that happen? Did that not happen? It's just so interesting. And every time I sat down to read this book, I got sucked in and was reading for like a good couple hours. And I also love the professor speaks in a way that's very direct, very blunt, very cutting. Maybe because he's trying to manipulate, maybe because he's just done this program so many times that he's removed. You're not quite sure of his motivations. But I really love that style of speaking because it just makes me laugh so hard. Like I can be that way sometimes when I'm comfortable with people or when I'm done with people's bullshit. I will get very blunt and cutting. And so seeing it on page, especially from someone who you're not quite sure if they're just amused or damned or damaged or what's going on, right? It's just so amusing to me. It's like, I don't know, it's not borderline inappropriate, but like it's unexpected in that the character is not being socially conventional, you know, and it just makes me giggle so much. I'll see if I can find a quote. Hold on. Oh, okay. So there's a quote where he says something along the lines of, no, this isn't like the therapies you've had before. I wouldn't repeat failure. So cutting. I love it. It's so much fun. And you also have like everybody being humanized throughout the whole thing, and everybody in this book is flawed. And the whole time, it's not entirely clear if somebody is being, if the whole situation is like menacing or malicious or actually therapeutic, or if everybody knows the boundaries of the supernatural stuff that's going on. Like, there's just so much uncertainty and so many mixed motivations going in. It's just utterly interesting and entrancing. It's very psychological, it's very character driven, but there are also events because it's quite short. It's like 255 pages, that kind of thing. So I think, isn't it under 200 pages is novella? So it's nearly a novella. And so in that sense, it is somewhat fast paced because obviously it's set in the midst of a art program that only has a few weeks to happen, and it's set in a remote cabin where everybody's snowed in, so you've got that kind of forced proximity element. So it's kind of set up very particularly so that things can progress quite quickly. But that doesn't mean it doesn't feel rushed. And again, the language choice is divine. Like, it's so varied, it's so emotive, it's so deliberate. Like, you can almost feel the time the writer took to compose the sentence structures the way they did, to pick the language choices they did, to depict the scenes in a very, very particular way, but not in a way where it feels like it's been written, right? It doesn't feel like the writer is taking over the narrative. It just feels like somebody took their time to do this, and it creates really beautiful pictures, really, horror-centric, psychedelic, psychological pictures, but beautiful, And so that is the last book I read in January, and I can't recommend it highly enough. I'm really excited to add it to my shelves and loan it out to people, and I would even love maybe to annotate it at some point. I don't know when I'll have the time, but I would love to annotate it at some point because there are so many beautiful moments, cutting statements, like quotable sentences, like that depict like the human psyche, but also our relationship to shadow and fear and the environment, and like there's a comment about how human bodies always crave natural spaces. And that's something I think we so forget in like post-capitalist hellscapes, So like, oh, beautiful. So I'm so happy to have read What Feeds the Lake. I am absolutely going to look into any of the books by J.C. Hemstreet, and I'm just so glad. Okay, so those are all the books I read, all the books I dipped into and dipped out of. Those are all the books that had me almost in a chokehold. Those are all the books that had me in book slumps. I already know after What Feeds the Lake, I'm going to need a break. I don't know what to follow it with. I think I'm going to follow it with, like I say, the horror book that my friend annotated for me, because clearly horror is a genre I can explore, which is beautiful. And my friend knows I enjoy psychological stuff, so I'm hoping there's more of that. But I am so excited, so excited to get to the Lesser Wolves duet. I'm like chomping at the bit. I don't even know what that phrase means, and yet it feels accurate. And yet, because we are waiting till February 13th to get the duet of Lesser Wolves to be completed, because my birthday is on the 24th of February, I'm going to be reading the Insatiable series as soon as the 1st of February hits, and I will be bringing you along for the ride. I will be vlogging the entire thing, and I'm so excited because A, vlogging means I will get to savor every moment. It means I'll get to kick my feet and be seen. It means we can just gush together and have the best time. I'm so excited to take my time with this, especially because that trilogy has just taken over my brain space since last February when I read it for the first time, and I've never read another series that's met that bar. So I'm beyond excited for February to get here. I'm beyond excited to finally be able to dip my toes back into the Insatiable world and just revel in the characters and the story and get my heart broken and like barely stitched back together. Oh my god, Lee Rivers, what do you do to us? Why do we keep coming back? Masochistic, anyone? Anyway, so how was your reading month? I know that reading months can be a bit tricky in January because we maybe come down from that post-holiday blues. Hopefully we've come out the other side. Who knows? Books can be a big part of it though. And I know that with the global scope where it is right now, reading can feel like maybe an indulgence, or maybe like, what can I do? Know that there are so many people who are raising money for efforts to support crises via books right now. I'll pop that in the description. Actually, I came across a few. And also remember that the characters in books inspire us to stand up and be bold and be strong. So if anything you've read in January has inspired you to be loud, to be active, to get involved with providing support or being a safe person, pop it below. Pop it below, because I think it's more important than ever to share what inspires us and like share how we're showing up and being active while in maintainable ways, you know what I mean, in ways that don't burn us out. And I think books can be a part of that. They can be a part of rest. They can be a part of inspiration. They can just be a part of community, which I think is vital nowadays. So yeah, hopefully January has treated you kindly. And if anything has put you in a little book slump like these have for me, feel free to pop them below because we love to suffer here. Masochist, remember? Anyway, I'm so excited to bring you along for my February read through of the Insatiable series by Lee Rivers. I just got full body chills. Like, I'm so excited. I'm so excited to bring you along. Until then, sweet reading.